Let's talk about 3 real questions I get from drivers all the time that could happen to anyone in this process, at the SAP process. And what we'll be covering today is, what do you do if a pre-employment is marked as a refusal and it wasn't a refusal because you were out of town? What happens if your lab results are delayed by several weeks? And whether you can just wait out your violation to get back to driving or your safety sensitive position and not complete the SAP. If you're new here, I'm Cindy. I'm a DOT qualified SAP, and so I help drivers and other safety sensitive employees get back to work after a SAP violation. I make videos to help you understand the SAP process, clearinghouse, how to move forward without any of the confusion, because I know there's a lot of confusion out there, and so I make videos to try to clear that up. So if that's something you need, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. So let's start with the one I get pretty frequently. What happens if a pre-employment test gets entered as a refusal because you were out of town? A refusal basically means that you didn't appear for for a required DOT test after being directed to report, right? But the reason why matters. If you were out of town, unavailable, or actually never received the message to go test, that's not automatically a refusal under DOT rules. The employer or recruiter, typically the employer, which is called a DER, the designated employer representative, which can be HR or the safety manager, should document that you had a legitimate reason. But sometimes communication breaks down, right? And maybe they scheduled it, didn't know you were out of town or whatever, and it gets entered as a refusal. It'll show up on your clearinghouse dashboard. You'll see a red box that says prohibited until it's corrected or you complete the SAP process. So here's what I tell drivers: save your documentation. That means text messages, emails, voicemails, whatever, to prove that, hey, you were having this communication back and forth with the DER saying, I'm not in town, I can't make this test, so that way that it can get rectified the right way. With that kind of documentation, your employer or DER, designated employer representative, remember is HR or the safety manager, can submit a correction request in the clearinghouse. And if they, let's say worst case scenario, they won't fix it. They're like, we're not changing it. You can always challenge it through FMCSA, through data queues, right? That's the official process to contest clearinghouse information. But just be patient, because it can take a while to get addressed. It can take them up to 45 days, and you will still show prohibited while that's pending. So make sure you keep your documentation, text messages, emails, voicemails, that you can, so that you can document and prove that, like, wait a minute, this was communicated to the employer, this was a screw up, and just try to stay calm. It will get worked out. Okay, question 2. I get this one a lot too. What should I do if I don't get a drug test result in 3 to 5 business days, right? What if it's been held up a couple weeks? Normally most labs report the results within 3 to 5 business days, and that doesn't count weekends or holidays, right? So, but delays can happen, right? These labs are big, they're processing lots of specimens through, not just yours. So sometimes things get screwed up or whatever, or it needs additional testing or split specimen reviews or whatever, or maybe it's a paperwork issue. I don't want you to panic. And don't assume it's a positive or bad news, right? I always say, if it's no news, it's typically good news. Doesn't guarantee it, but most of the time, if you don't hear back from the lab, it's negative. And if your clearinghouse hasn't been updated, or you haven't gotten a call from the MRO, who's the medical review officer, that's the doctor at the lab, you probably are pretty good. But here's what you can do. You can try to contact the MRO's office at the lab. Just remember, these are medical doctors, they're busy. I mean, even as a SAP, I play phone tag if I'm trying to get a hold of an MRO. It takes us a couple days. Typically I can't get a hold of them that day, but that's okay. They do get back to you, but they're very busy, and I don't know if they're just doing DOT, plus they do other lab stuff, obviously. So just hang in there. You could also try the lab's customer service, not at the specimen collection site. They're probably not going to know, but each big lab has customer service that you can call up and see if there's an issue with the specimen, why is the test result delayed, or perhaps they can send you the test result. They'll probably have to verify who you are, right? Because of HIPAA, that's the confidentiality rule. And But a lot of them have online portals where you can log in, or maybe they can send you a link to the portal so you can get the result, you know? So just hang in there. But if it's over a week, you can also talk to your employer. That would be the DER, HR, or safety, and say, hey, what's the status of the test? They probably won't have the results back, or they would have notified you, you know. So my tips: wait the 3 to 5 business days. Don't count the weekends or holidays. Then reach out politely to the MRO. And remember, no news typically means good news, right? Because the MRO will call you. They're required to call you if it's a positive result. And if this video has been helpful to you so far, go ahead and tap that like button. It really helps the channel grow and show the videos to more drivers, you know, who need information about the SAP process, because there's just not a lot out there. And number 3, can you wait out a clearinghouse violation and then go back to work? That's a no. The clearinghouse violation stays in there indefinitely until it's addressed through the SAP process. So violations don't expire because 5 years has passed. And I've seen this on social media where people are like, I'll wait 6 years. Doesn't matter, it's still gonna be there. So once a violation's entered into the clearinghouse, it stays there until you complete the SAP process and the follow-up testing plan. Even if it's 5 years, 10 years, you'll still show prohibited until it's addressed. And once you complete the process, the record remains visible for 5 years from the date of the violation or after your follow-up testing plan, whichever date is later. So you can't just wait it out. It's better to just address it through the SAP process and move forward to get back to your career. So that's the top 3 questions I've gotten recently from drivers, and they're excellent questions. If this video has helped clear up some of the confusion, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. I try to make them weekly. You can also check out down in the description box, there's a link to my link tree. There's free driver resources over there. I just, within the past week, put up one explaining step 5, which is return to duty testing, and step 6, which is follow-up testing. Free download. There are some paid resources over there, but that's under the free. And so anyways, I hope you stay well and see you in the next video.